What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Travel with Sarah. In today's video, we are talking about just how much money I spent on my latest trip. This was a leisure trip to the sunny island of Ibiza. If you've been there, you know how expensive it is. I wanted to share, honestly, how much I spent so that you can budget, plan, or invest in one of the best party islands. We're starting with how much I spent on the flight and hotel. The flight and hotel are purchased before you leave, so you need to budget that. Probably the best out of everything. Now, I used British Airways Holidays. If you combine any two products from British Airways, example being a flight and a hotel, could be car, anything that they allow in their holiday packages, you automatically open the option for a deposit instead of having to pay the full price. I got a British Airways flight to London and included my hotel stay for £780, but I only put £170 deposit before your last payment has to be 30 days before departure. I've spent £780 on my flight and hotel. We also chose flight times that allowed us to get there earlier. In past trips, we would have arrived just in time to go to the first nightclub. Now, that didn't happen this year. We wanted to be sensible. And of course, as soon as you try and be sensible and you pay more money for an earlier departure time, the worst happens. I arrived at midday for my 2 p.m. flight. From the moment we got in, we knew there was a slight delay. We waited. We got to our gate, sat down. We waited. The pilot came out of his cockpit and wanted to tell us himself that this plane was not leaving London Gatwick because it was not fit to fly. When you hear this plane is not fit to fly, you feel an initial relief, like we've dodged a bullet. I'm so glad you've made this decision. However, did I expect at that moment to be sat in the airport for the next 9 hours? No, I did not. There was another flight at 7 p.m. that our friend was booked on, so we thought we'll just get on that flight. When I rang, and this is a testament to BA, when you get a British Airways holiday, you also get a dedicated telephone number. I rang them, told them the situation. They held seats for us and wanted to figure out what was going to happen with our checked luggage. Is our checked luggage going to make the 7 p.m. flight? There was one veto, the birthday girl, who was like, absolutely not. I am not going to be landing in Ibiza without my bags. And also, we don't know if they're going to be able to get our bags there the next day. We're going to have to go back to the airport to get them. She wasn't wrong. We're like, cool, we're going to figure out what's going to happen. We were then told that our 2:30 flight had been rescheduled to 11:30 p.m. departure from Gatwick. They were sourcing a new plane. I was like, okay. When they rescheduled the flight, the guy confirms that now that the flight is rescheduled, not canceled, they will definitely not be taking your bags off of that flight. I was like, cool. Well, the birthday girl doesn't really want to be dealing with that. I'm not really sure how we feel about that. So we decide we're going to wait for this 11:30 flight. And we probably decide this about 4:30, 5 p.m. We know we have until about 9 before we need to be back at the airport. I try to leave the airport because I live about a 10-minute drive from Gatwick. I say to the guys, let's get out of here, stop spending money at this airport, go back to mine, relax, and then come back. This woman was telling me, no, you cannot leave the airport. I said, does that mean that I'm trapped? No, you're not trapped. So what you're saying to me is, I am being held here in this airport for the next 6-ish hours. You will not let me leave. I can't tell you how stressful, frustrated, irritated, how much of a waste of time it was. I had just bought tickets to go and see Black Coffee. I was unable to go and see Black Coffee because by the time we got there, it was nearly 3 a.m. My flight was delayed for more than 3 hours, so I was entitled by EU law to a portion of my flight back. They gave me £220 compensating for the delay. Irritated as fuck. Did not go to Black Coffee. Got the additional 100 pounds from BA, which was the amount I spent on black coffee tickets. I spent £98.53 on my share of alcohol, food, etc. Nightmare. So let's call it £560 from my flight and hotel to Ibiza. And of course, the time lost sitting in the airport. Then the other £198.53 was compensating me for the loss of tickets and money I spent in the airport while waiting for their planes to take off. Then I started with my friends eating and drinking. I spent £24.86 at Small Batch Social. Before the delay, we went through that process of going to the gate and then coming back. And we ended up in a place called Big Smoke Tap House. And my portion of that bill was £45 down the drain, just deliberating about what we were going to do. So leaving all of that unpleasantness about Gatwick Airport behind, we get to Ibiza and it's like 3 a.m. You know how you're so tired that you feel physically sick. And one absolute legend in our group ended up going out to meet the other friend of ours who had actually originally booked the 7 p.m. flight. So she was out having a great time. I was so desperate for water. I spent €3 on bottled water in the hotel vending machine in the lobby. So Sunday rolls around. I get up, I go to the pool, super happy I didn't go out the night before. I had a night's sleep. It's time to enjoy. I get up and go to the grocery store across the street. Bought bottled water and jamon crisps. I spent €9.91 in the store across the street. And we proceeded to basically enjoy the beach club vibes at the pool at our hotel. It was stunning. I spent €56 drinking sangria and wine by the beach / by the pool. We get up, get dressed for the day, and go walking along the boardwalk in Playa del Boy. We find this beautiful restaurant and we have lunch. I ordered the sea bass, but I was not expecting the fish to come with its head on. It was a very fresh fish. My friend kindly took the head off and the bones out of it. I had this beautiful sea bass with a couple of beverages, and I spent €35 on lunch. So far, not too bad. Sunday was always going to be our big night out because we were going to see Carl Cox's closing party. And it was going to be epic. Everyone was going. And I knew it was going to be a big night out. We decided we were going to walk into Ibiza Old Town for dinner before we go to Carl Cox, because that's not going to start until the early morning hours. So we were going to have a nice late dinner. We walk, and we come across this beautiful hotel with a rooftop bar. And I'm like, we definitely need to go up to that. If you know me, I am the queen of rooftops. I will find a rooftop in any city, enjoying the views it has to offer. We go up to this beautiful rooftop and we have tapas, croquetas, and various other things, but horrible cocktails. But it was beautiful views, good food. I spent €30 my portion of the rooftop drinks on our way to dinner. Then we get to dinner and we go to this place just off of the main square of Ibiza town. We end up going to this place called the Amorous Project. It was beautiful, really good food. I paid €53.47 for dinner. Carl Cox tickets, £100 just on the ticket to go to the nightclub to see the man whose closing party it was. We get ready for the night. I get into a new outfit. Super excited for Carl Cox. I pay €17 to get from our hotel to Universe, where Carl Cox is playing. We are dancing our asses off. And the best thing is that we've already been drinking. There's really no need to have additional drinks at that late of the night. The only thing I bought was 2 waters at Universe because we were already basically drunk. Guess how much 2 bottled waters cost? Think of a number in your head. €30. So €15 per bottle of water. I think it's the most expensive bottle of water I've ever purchased. Myself and my other birthday pal left Universe at a sensible time and joined the biggest queue I have ever seen in my entire life for the taxi rank. Actually, it took 20, 30 minutes. You have conversations with people in the queue, and those are hilarious. Get to the top of the queue, get into our taxi home, but I believe that he paid for this taxi. Shout out to NatWest, who allows you to create travel accounts. So within my current account, I have a euro and a US dollar bucket. I was putting money into my euro bucket ahead of this trip to Ibiza. When I pay for things, it comes out of the euro bucket and I don't get any fees. It was a good way for me to budget and save ahead of time. So then we go home and watch the sunrise. Unfortunately, our friends that did not leave 15 minutes before the set ended were bused to San Antonio on the other side of the island. They didn't get home for another hour and a half. Bless their souls. Anyway, Monday rolls around and we are waking up hungover, missed breakfast completely. It's now midday, 1 o'clock, and I spend 20 euros on much needed life-saving coffee from the Starbucks at the hotel's pool bar. I was followed by serious hunger pains, and we went to a place called Vanilla Beach, which was another beautiful restaurant we got to from the boardwalk. I spent 38 euros on a green juice and basically patatas bravas with a egg on top and some truffle. It was brilliant. Then we go back to the hotel, have a series of naps, get ourselves together, and decide we're going to go for dinner that night. I paid 16 euros 55, so it's always about 17 euros for every taxi ride. But yeah, 16.55 to get dropped off at the main port area in Ibiza town. Great place to pick up a taxi because they have a huge taxi rank outside of their port. And if you are going to other islands like Formentera, then that's where you will catch the boat. And then we had dinner, all 5 of us out for dinner. We had so many tapas. We had so much food. It was shrimp. There was meat. It was amazing. We had a good time. I spent 64 euros for my portion. It was worth it. I will just describe to you this beautiful image. When you are in Ibiza town, there's this ramp that leads up to this castle wall and an entryway that takes you up into town. It's all cobblestones and the streets are lined with restaurants and random shops. As you keep climbing into Ibiza town, you go up and over and end up in this lookout point. It is a beautiful view of all of Ibiza. It was almost midnight, but we sat up there as a group and ordered a bottle of wine to share. Before the bill came, I was able to take a moment to walk up to the edge of the city wall, lean over it, and look at the lights and the night sky in Ibiza. And I just had this real moment of serenity and peace and gratitude of like, I'm so lucky to be here on this beautiful island with my best friends, just having the time of our lives. I feel blessed. I turn back at the table. The bottle of wine is arriving and they want us to pay because they're going to leave us to it by the time they close up the shop. I felt compelled to pay for that moment because this is an experience I won't forget. And so I spent 55 euros on that bottle of wine for the 5 of us to enjoy. At the end of the night, half of us wanted to go out and 2 of the 5 of us decided to stay in. I decided to stay in. I was absolutely shattered because my friends ended up at Pasha. And I love Pasha, don't get me wrong. And I didn't go to Pasha this year, even though I had bought a shirt specifically with cherries on it. I went home at the end of the night, went to my grocery store across the street from the hotel, which was convenient, spent 4.98 euros on bottles of water. And that was the end of night 2. Now, Tuesday. Now we're on to Tuesday. I wake up. It was a late night. I still got up and had a coffee. I spent a cool 6.50 euros. That day, we decided to go to a beach club. I hadn't done one before in Ibiza. We decided the best party vibe would be Ocean Beach. And we go to concierge at our hotel. It looked like it was sold out. He knew what he was talking about. He gets us tickets. And I spent 25 euros on tickets to just set foot inside of Ocean Beach Club. We get in the taxi and it's about a 25-minute journey over to Ocean Beach. The taxi was 34 euros. I spent 34 euros on the taxi for myself and 2 other girls. So 3 out of the 5 of us then go to this beach club. And at that point, when we've set foot inside of the beach club, we realized quite quickly the decision was, do we want to sit along the edge of the pool to save a spot, or buy a table or at least a seat or a cabana so that we can have a comfortable day? The first option presented to us was an 1,100 euro cabana, or we could spend 600 euros and have a table. The cool thing is that all of that 600 euros goes towards your food and beverage. There's 3 of us, 200 euros per person. I can eat and drink 200 euros worth. One of us was a little apprehensive about the price tag, and I get it. Sit at a table for you don't know how long. We don't know whether we're going to want to stay here, whether the music's going to be good. We went ahead, put 600 euros down, sat at this table. Best 200 euros I've ever spent. Best people watching. The outfits arriving at this beach club. Not only was I underdressed, I was completely in a different category of beach club. In my head, I had my red bikini on, cherries on, white flowy beach trousers, like cover up. These girls were head to toe, red carpet, sequins, full makeup. You're not here to swim. You are here to slay. I was like, oh my God. I was comfortable. I was sat down and I was people watching and I was having a blast. Then we started ordering the food. The menu was amazing. We were all in this weird, fragile state. We had been drinking a lot. We started with rosé. We liked the rosé. We had a bottle, ordered another, and just carried on with the rosé. Let me get to why this is the best 200 euros I've ever spent. Amazing. One good DJ after the next. The vibe reminded me of the pool parties at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. Epic music, one banger after the next. The vibe was popping. The guys next to us wanted to chat. The people behind us wanted to chat. Whilst we were in the pool, here comes the server assigned to our table, topping us up. She finds us in the sea of people and gets someone to tap me on the shoulder to come closer so I can get a top up of the rosé. Bam. Service impeccable. Music on point. Water beautiful. Sunshine. Then the cannons of confetti comes out. Then this random architecture sculpture comes over the pool. Another DJ comes on. We're dancing in the water. We were there from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. We played it perfectly. We asked about 8 o'clock, how are we with our bill? And she's like, 550 something euros. Throw another bottle of rosé and close that out. We were betting on 600 euros. I was hyped. It was probably my best daytime activity. Beach club all the way. So much fun. Loved it. Of course, my vape dies. I love a cheeky vape. In the Ocean Beach nightclub that sold me this vape charged me no less than 15 euros. So the same cost as a bottle of water for a vape. And then we leave. Somebody else pays for the taxi because one of the girls with us gets to the hotel, gets her stuff, and goes to the airport. Crazy. We're not going out tonight. We day drank all day. We need to go to bed. So you know what we decided? I spent 20 euros 58 on KFC. It was worth it. That KFC saved me. I shared it with my friend in her room. And then I went out and got water, spent another 4 euros 5p on water. Then we went to sleep, woke up the next morning, went to the airport, various gifts for friends and family. I spent 25 euros 30 on souvenirs. If I was to total everything spent across all 5 of us, it would be well in excess of 10 grand. I had a pretty tame trip. Went out once in the evening and once during the day. The grand total, including flights, hotel, and compensation from BA, was 1,329 euros is what I spent for not even 4 days, more like 4 sleeps and 3 full days. Every single penny of it was worth it. I'd saved 1,100 euros as spending money. I got home Wednesday afternoon. I had to fly Saturday morning to Budapest for a hen party. So that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. I wanted you to hear all the things that went on and why it cost so much. When I tell you it is the best time of your life, I'm not lying. I definitely recommend it. And I hope that what I've been able to share with you can give you a better experience when you go to Ibiza. And I say when because you absolutely should. Maybe it will inspire you to go, or potentially it will deter you if you don't want to spend that type of money. It is 100% worth doing at least once in your life. I hope you had fun listening. So let me know in the comments whether you've been to Ibiza, what your favorite thing to do is, what your favorite clubs are, how much you've spent while you've been there, or any crazy stories you have. This has been Travel with Sarah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash that like, follow, subscribe.